Will Ellie's stand against Mia's betrayal set her free or drag her deeper into the shadows? Part 2. The Sabotage. Ellie sat on the floor of her studio apartment, the weight of Mia's betrayal pressing down like a storm cloud. The email accusing her of plagiarism wasn't just a prank. It was a calculated strike, designed to tear down the fragile life she'd built. Her job at Brightwave, her one lifeline to independence, was now hanging by a thread. But as the tears dried on her cheeks, a fire kindled inside her. She wasn't the scared little girl who let Mia walk all over her anymore. This time, she'd fight, not with screams or tears, but with strategy. The next morning, Ellie marched into Brightwave with a folder of evidence, timestamps, drafts, even screenshots of her late-night work sessions. Rachel, her boss, listened quietly as Ellie laid it all out, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. "I'm sorry this happened, Ellie," Rachel said, leaning back in her chair. "This is a serious accusation, but your evidence is solid. I'll make sure." "You've got potential, Ellie. Don't let this derail you. Focus on the next project, and we'll put this behind us." It wasn't a complete victory. The brewery client was gone, and whispers still lingered in the office, but it was enough to keep her job. Ellie threw herself into her work, determined to prove her worth. She stayed late, took on extra assignments, and even pitched a bold new campaign for a local coffee shop. Slowly, she started to rebuild her reputation, brick by brick. But Mia wasn't done. If anything, Ellie's resilience seemed to fuel her spite. One Saturday, Ellie was grabbing coffee at her favorite cafe when she overheard a familiar laugh. She turned to see Mia at a corner table, surrounded by a group of Ellie's old college friends. They were people Ellie had drifted from after the Ethan fiasco, too humiliated to face them. Now, Mia was holding court, her charm in full force, as she spun stories and flashed her megawatt smile. Ellie's stomach twisted when she caught Mia's eye. Mia didn't flinch. She winked. Later that day, Ellie got a text from one of those friends, Sarah. "Hey, just saw Mia. She said you've been super distant and kinda bitter lately. Everything okay?" Ellie's fingers hovered over the keyboard, rage simmering. Mia wasn't just stealing her work. She was rewriting Ellie's story, painting her as the villain to anyone who'd listen. It was a power play, pure and simple. Mia wanted to isolate her, to make sure Ellie had no one left in her corner. That night, Ellie made a decision. She couldn't keep dodging Mia's attacks. She needed to confront her, not in a screaming match, but in a way that would force Mia to face the consequences of her actions. And she needed to do it in front of the one audience Mia cared about most: their parents. Part 3. The Reckoning. Thanksgiving was approaching, and Susan insisted on a big family dinner. Ellie hadn't been back to the house on Maple Street since moving out, but she agreed to come, not out of necessity, but because it was the state. She spent the week thinking about stolen clothes, sabotaged projects, even text messages where Mia gloated about taking Ethan. Ellie wasn't proud of the dossier she'd built, but she was done playing nice. The dinner was a tense affair. Susan had outdone herself with a spread of turkey, stuffing, and pumpkin pie, but the air was thick with unspoken grudges. Tom tried to keep things light, joking about football, but Ellie could feel Mia's eyes on her, sizing her up. Mia was dressed to the nines, her makeup flawless, as if she were starring in a holiday movie. Ellie, in her simple sweater and jeans, felt like an extra. As dessert was served, Ellie cleared her throat. "I have something to say." All eyes turned to her. Susan frowned, sensing trouble. "Ellie, can't this wait?" "No, it can't," Ellie said, her voice calm but firm. She pulled out her phone and opened a slideshow she'd prepared, projecting it onto the dining room wall with a portable device she'd borrowed from work. The first slide was a screenshot of the plagiarism email, with Mia's name highlighted. "Mia accused me of stealing her work at my job," Ellie began. "She sent this to my boss, knowing it could get me fired. But that's not all she's done." Slide after slide, Ellie laid it out. The science project from high school, the clothes Mia borrowed and ruined, the texts where Mia bragged about charming Ethan. She included voicemails Mia had left, taunting Ellie for moving out, and screenshots of Mia bad-mouthing her to mutual friends. The evidence was meticulous, undeniable, and devastating. Susan's face paled. Tom's jaw tightened. Mia, for once, looked rattled, her usual composure cracking. "Ellie, this is ridiculous," Mia said, her voice shrill. "You're blowing everything out of proportion. I was just kidding around." "Kidding?" Ellie's eyes locked onto hers. "You tried to ruin my career. You've spent years taking everything I care about, and you call it a joke?" Susan stood, her hands trembling. "Ellie, stop. Be I spent my whole life trying to be good enough for you, and it's never enough. But I'm not the one who needs to change." Tom rubbed his temples. "Ellie, we love you both. You know that. But this feels like an attack." "It's not an attack," Ellie said. "It's the truth. And if you can't see it, then maybe I don't belong here." The room fell silent. Mia's eyes glistened with tears, but Ellie recognized the act. She'd seen it too many times. Susan looked torn, her maternal instincts warring with the reality of what she'd just seen. Tom stared at the table, as if hoping it would swallow him whole. Finally, Susan spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "Mia, is this true?" Mia opened her mouth, then closed it. For the first time, she had no quick comeback, no charming deflection. She looked at her parents, then at Ellie, and something shifted in her expression. Guilt, maybe, or fear. "I didn't mean to hurt her," Mia mumbled. I don't know." Ellie didn't wait for more. She grabbed her coat and walked out, the cold November air biting her cheeks. She drove back to her apartment, her heart pounding but lighter than it had been in years. She'd said her piece. She'd drawn a line. Whatever happened next, she was free. Part 4. The Turning Point. The weeks after Thanksgiving were quiet. Ellie's parents didn't call, and Mia went radio silent. Part of Ellie ached for reconciliation, but another part felt relieved. She'd spent so long chasing their approval, but now she was starting to see she didn't need it. At Brightwave, Ellie's hard work began to pay off. The coffee shop campaign she'd pitched was a hit, boosting the client's sales and earning her a promotion to junior account manager. Her colleagues, once wary after the plagiarism scandal, now sought her input, and Rachel became a mentor, encouraging her to take bigger risks. Ellie enrolled in night classes for graphic design, her passion reignited. She even started dating again, quietly. Ellie came home to find Mia sitting on the steps outside her building. She looked different. Her hair was pulled back, her face bare of makeup, and her eyes were red from crying. Ellie's first instinct was to walk past, but something in Mia's expression stopped her. "What do you want?" Ellie asked, her voice guarded. Mia stood, shivering in her thin jacket. "Can we talk, please?" Against her better judgment, Ellie let her in. The apartment was small, but it was warm, filled with plants and sketches Ellie had pinned to the walls. Mia looked around, as if seeing her sister for the first time. "I'm sorry," Mia said, her voice small. "For everything. The email, Ethan, all of it. I didn't realize how much I was hurting you." Ellie crossed her arms, skeptical. "Why now? What's changed?" Mia sat on the couch, twisting her hands. "After Thanksgiving, Mom and Dad, they were different. They started asking me questions, holding me accountable. They made me see a therapist, and I hated it at first, but I'm starting to understand why I did those things." Ellie raised an eyebrow. "And why's that?" Mia's eyes dropped to the floor. "I was jealous. You're so strong. You always figured things out, even when Mom and Dad didn't notice. I needed their attention to feel okay, and when you started pulling away, building your own life, I panicked. I thought if I could keep you down, I'd stay on top." It was the most honest thing Mia had ever said, but Ellie wasn't ready to forgive. "You didn't just keep me down, Mia. You tried to destroy me." "I know," Mia whispered, "and I hate myself for it. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I want to make it right. I told your boss the truth, wrote a letter, admitted I lied, and I'm moving out, getting my own place. I'm trying to figure out who I am without all this." Ellie studied her sister, searching for the catch. But Mia's face was open, raw, stripped of the mask she'd worn for so long. It wasn't an effort to erase the past. It was history. "I'm not ready to trust you, but I'm glad you tried." Mia, tears spilled. "That's more than I deserve." After Mia left, Ellie sat alone, processing. She didn't owe Mia forgiveness, but she felt a weight lift, knowing her sister was finally facing herself. It wasn't closure, not yet, but it was progress. Part 5. The redemption spring arrived, painting the city in shades of green. Ellie's life was blooming too. Her promotion at Brightwave came with a raise, enough to move to a better apartment with a tiny balcony where she grew herbs. Her relationship with Lucas deepened, built on quiet moments. Cooking dinner together, reading side by side, laughing at bad movies. She was happy, not in a loud, flashy way, but in a way that felt real. Her parents reached out, tentative at first. Susan called to apologize, her voice thick with regret. "We didn't see how unfair we were," she said. "We thought we were keeping the peace, but we hurt you. We're trying to do better." Tom followed, inviting Ellie to dinner. Not a grand gesture, but a genuine one. They were learning slowly to see her as she was, not as Mia's shadow. Ellie didn't rush to rebuild the bridge, but she left the door open, meeting them for coffee, then lunches, then family dinners, where Mia wasn't the center of attention. Mia, true to her word, was trying. She got a job at a boutique, started therapy, and even took up painting, something she'd never been good at but loved. She didn't push Ellie for forgiveness, but she showed up in small ways, sending a thoughtful birthday card, texting to congratulate Ellie on her promotion. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. The turning point came at Ellie's 25th birthday. She hosted a small party at her new apartment, inviting Lucas, a few work friends, and, after some hesitation, her family. The evening was warm, filled with laughter and music. Mia arrived late, carrying a wrapped canvas. When Ellie opened it, she found a painting, a vibrant abstract of two figures, one in shadow, one in light. She didn't say anything. She hung on, quick, fierce embrace that said more than words could. It wasn't a fairy tale ending. There were still scars, still trust to rebuild, but it was enough. As the party wound down, Ellie stood on her balcony, Lucas's arm around her. The city sparkled below, alive with possibility. She thought about the girl she'd been, the one who felt invisible, and realized she'd become someone else. Strong, whole, and free. "You okay?" Lucas asked, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Ellie smiled, her heart full. "Yeah, I'm more than okay." She'd fought for this life, and it was hers. No one, not Mia, not her parents, not her past, could take it away. Epilogue. A year later, Ellie was thriving. Brightwave promoted her again, and she was leading campaigns that made local headlines. She and Lucas moved in together, their apartment a cozy mix of books, plants, and art. Her relationship with her parents grew stronger, built on mutual respect. Mia was still a work in progress, but she was trying, and Ellie met her halfway, grabbing coffee or catching up over lunch. The house on Maple Street didn't feel like a battlefield anymore. It was just a house, a place where Ellie had been hurt, but also where she'd learned to fight. She didn't need to prove herself to anyone now. She was enough, always had been. And as she looked out at the world she'd built, Ellie knew one thing for certain. The shadow was gone. She was standing in the light. Thank you so much for watching Ellie's heartfelt journey to the very end. We're so grateful for your support. If you loved this story, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. We've got more emotional tales waiting for you. See you in the next video.